Hey everybody, welcome back to Series Recap here for the week of July 11th. We did take a week off after an off week for Series E, but we're back here to talk about all of the action that you missed over the last few days. So make sure to stick around, check it all out as we break down what we saw here for Vizia Week. Now, as always, we kick things off with Apex Legends news. Now, unfortunately, this week, due to server issues, we actually weren't able to get full nights of competition on either Tuesday or Wednesday, but there's still plenty to talk about as we look back to what happened last weekend. The ALGS Championships went down out in Raleigh, North Carolina, and there was heavy Series E representation at the tournament. While none of the current Series E rosters had qualified for the event, plenty of former players in the Series E circuit represented very well at the event. The biggest standout of the tournament was Furia, a team that not a lot of people had high expectations for, but they were clearly the best overall team all across the event. Making it into the finals, they ended up finishing in second place with the most overall points in that final round. Series E veterans Zeratricky and Panders make up a good portion of the roster, and their newest member, his Watson, was a huge boon to the team. Very proud of those two representatives for their performance, as well as all the other squads who went out to compete. Of course, the big story was Dark Zero, who came out with the overall victory. 9 teams went into the final game of the day on match point, and Dark Zero came out on top, winning back-to-back ALGS events. A huge performance from them, as well as everybody else. Also have to give some shout outs to all of the subs that jumped in for multiple different teams as squads dealt with COVID and visa issues. Of course, Rambo was a big part of the GMT run to a top 5 finish, as well as our friend James Fearless jumping in for AIM Esports in the finals. It was a hell of an event, and we can't wait to see more in the future. Now let's talk some Guilty Gear Strive. This week, an interesting week here for Series E Guilty Gear Strive, as we actually didn't have a normal event on Thursday. Due to our awesome partnership with our friends over at Arxis, we had the opportunity to do a $1,000 invitational for their newest title, DNF Duel. Before we jump into that, though, we can talk about the Series E players that were competing in other events this week, specifically Run It Thursdays, run by our friends over at CLG. They run an East and West competition, and if you look over in the Eastern competition, 2 familiar faces ended up in the grand finals. Our good friends Umisho and Solstice ended up in there, with Umisho coming out of winners, Solstice coming out of the losers bracket. Umisho ended up taking the victory, but it was a hell of a run from both players, and we wish them the best of luck as the season continues. Meanwhile, out west, our good friend Jonathan Tene had a hell of a run himself, getting all the way to grand finals. He was finally stopped, though, by Aaron DeMack, who took the overall win for the Western competition, but still Jonathan with another solid second place finish. Now, as we turn our eyes back to what we did here in Series E, of course, we had the DNF Duel 1K Invitational. It was awesome to get to see a new title here on a Thursday night and plenty of awesome competition. Big players like Reynald, Kizzy K, as well as Diaphone all came out to compete, and we saw 2 of those players end up in the grand finals. Reynolds was dominant all throughout the winners bracket, even beating Diaphone in winners quarterfinals to send him to the losers bracket. SQ, another player who was pretty damn good in the winners bracket, was beating everybody handily until arriving to meet Reynolds in winners finals. Reynolds took that win, and SQ wasn't able to beat Diaphone, who was on an impressive losers bracket run in the losers finals, so we got the Reynolds versus Diaphone matchup in grands. That one was an absolute banger, where we saw 2 5-game series courtesy of a Diaphone reset, and it all came down to a wire-to-wire finish where Diaphone took the win over the Swiftmaster main Reynolds. It was a hell of a competition. We look forward to seeing more DNF Duel here in the near future, but I think we're definitely all looking forward to getting back to the grind on Guilty Gear Strive come next week. And finally, let's talk about some Halo Infinite. Now, things kicked off, of course, on Monday night with our usual open night tournament. And Team Rokuyukai, first of all, a fantastic team name, throwing it back to one of my favorite anime of all time, Yu Yu Hakusho. They came in and dominated the bracket. They only dropped a single map all throughout their run to the E-United squad in winners finals. Meanwhile, one of the squads they took out in their winners run, Minions, went down to the losers bracket and had a hell of a performance down there to earn a rematch with Team Rokuyukai in the grand finals. Though it was not to be, as Rokuyukai took the 2-0 win up there to grab another victory. Spartan, leading that squad, continues to be the golden goose of Series E Open Nights. We'll have to keep an eye on what squad he shows up with next time around. Now, as we shift our focus to Friday, there's not a ton to talk about here. Minions and Oxygen got 3-0s against Esports Arena Red and Blue, respectively, in the first round of the Pro Night competition. And then going into Grands, what looked like it would be a tight matchup, saw Minions taking another 3-0, dominating Oxygen in the Grand Finals and taking home the win. We'll have to see if Team Esports Arena Red and Blue were able to make some noise in the next week of competition. That does it for the Series E action in Vizio Week, the week of July 11th. Of course, plenty more going on next week. It'll be Razor Week, so don't miss out on that. A full schedule of Series E action, so make sure you're over at twitch.tv/esports arena every single weekday at 4 p.m. Pacific time. I'll be there to greet you all, and we'll have plenty of awesome gameplay, so don't miss out.